Women are amazing. Mothers are amazing. I had 2 coaching calls today. One of my clients being a stand for herself, for her kids. Just finished another call with a new client and feeling into the source of her commitment to do this deep intimacy work for herself, but also for her kids. And I'm reminded of the podcast you're about to watch with the amazing Kelli Moore. And she was friggin' breastfeeding on the interview. And the nanny was there. And then Ro came back because Ro wasn't doing well and wanted mama again. And it was so surreal because Kelli was speaking how, her mama just died and how she wanted to end 4 generations of unhealthy patterns with the women. And my God, it's been 20 years since my mom died, but it's almost like I was looking at myself. So inspired by brave women, mothers, willing to feel their feelings, willing to end patterns of abuse or codependence or what society said we could or couldn't do, and bravely do so to shift the ancestral patterns so our kids don't have to go through it, and to experience the liberation ourselves of being who we are. And then Kelli making such an impact on humanity with her podcast and her life. You're gonna love this. And so, yeah, I'm just imagining her mom's in heaven and my mom's in heaven, and hopefully they're having a cup of tea or a shot of tequila together. Actually, all the clients, wow, this is amazing. My first client today, her mom just passed. The new client that I just spoke to, her mom has passed. Okay, so the ladies are having a party in heaven, watching their daughters do our best to heal and live unapologetically with our hearts splayed wide open. Enjoy. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, you delicious people, and welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. We're here with season 11, Soul Medicine, and talk about soul sisterhood as well on this. The theme we're talking about right now is self-love, forgiveness, and finding your worth. And here I am with my amazing friend, Kelli Moore, and we have the baby. And we're feeding because that's just life. That's just how we roll around here. So I love that. I love that. Let me tell everyone a little bit more about you. They remember you from the IG Live, which is why we're doing the podcast. They're like, we want more of her. So Kelli Moore, she likes to think of herself as the master of helping women reinvent themselves. And after leaving her 15-year award-winning sports television career, we joked about that, of how horrible I am of naming sports teams with my son on the IG Live. After her award-winning sports television career, while simultaneously healing herself of a chronic illness, she's been devoted to supporting women to own their self-discovery process. And through her potent conversations on her top-ranked shows, I want you to check them both out, The Naked Mama and Okay Babe, she leads women in their journeys of intimacy. And as you can very well see, motherhood and clearing old stories and beliefs so you can step into who you are becoming. She is, as you can see, a hot mama. I would say a MILF for sure. She's a wife. She's the co-founder and CEO of the premier broadcast network, Soul Fire Productions. And she is a new friend of mine. And I'm really glad to have you not just on the IG Live, but on the podcast. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you. I remember when we were doing the IG Live, I was like, oh my God, I love this woman. She is my people. Oh, so nice.
Isn't it great when you just fucking drop in instantly and you get each other and it's all true? Oh my God. Okay, I'm remembering my favorite rocking chair and breastfeeding Gabriel. And that was like 20 years ago. And we're recording this, right before Mother's Day. How do you feel, Mama? How do you feel? What's true for you right in this minute?
Yeah, I feel like I'm an amazing mom, and I'm really excited to own that. I was in a mastermind that I just joined for CEO moms. It's called CEO Mamas. We were talking this morning, and we were all sort of reflecting about how we feel really confident in our ability to mother and the way we're showing up as moms, and that it feels really good to be in that space, but then the rest of your life is kind of chaotic and up in the air. And so none of us have mom guilt. We kind of have guilt for the rest of our lives. um, and it's an interesting time, you know, she's 4 months old today, actually. And she's so amazing. She's just the best and my muse, and I am obsessed with her in every way. And she's changed me so much. And I feel like I've gone through this huge rebirth,
Mm.
and, you know, I'm really tired and overwhelmed and trying to figure out how to navigate it all. And it's really interesting time to be alive and to be a mom, and, you know, in the life that I've created for myself and us. And I'm also just the most grateful. So duality is very present right now.
Totally. Yes, I so hear you. And as we go to our theme of like self-love and forgiveness and finding your worth, tell us more on any of those topics, how she's helped you grow more in those arenas.
Yeah. You know, I had this day, I was giving her a bath in the kitchen, and I was singing to her and dancing, and we were singing this song called Butterflies from Casey Musgraves. And I remember just starting to sob because I realized that the lyrics of the song basically say, like, you taught me how to fly. You taught me how to become a butterfly again. You reminded me of my abilities. You reminded me of who I am. And I feel like that's what she's really come here to do in so many ways, is to remind me of who I am and to allow me to be free and to really show up as big and bold as I can. And I've never been more proud of myself or more at peace with myself, and in awe of all the work I've done to get to this point. I'm someone who would always beat myself up, and you're not good enough, and how did you fuck up, and all these things. And I realize I do that so much less now because of her. There's this appreciation for myself, and also this acknowledgement of, you get to be the biggest, brightest, boldest version of you for your daughter, because that's the example you want to set. And I didn't have that example. And so I feel like the intention is so strong because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I so get you. I remember the first time I looked in my son's eyes, and it was a bliss I'd never known. First it was like, oh my God, you're the one that's been kicking my ribs, you little stinker. But then it was like, oh my God, can I really feel this much love? And I just kept breathing. I'm like, oh my God, so much love. And then all of a sudden, so much fear. Oh my God, how the fuck do I keep this thing alive? Like, it was just like, oh, you're expanding my capacity to love and bump up against all my limitations, my fears, my concerns, my, am I good enough? All it just all kind of expanded, like my belly expanded, my boobs expanded, my emotions expanded. Tell us more about, and I know what you're referring to, or I know my version of what you're referring to. There's an inspiration that I never knew that lit up inside of me when I looked in my child's eyes.
Mm.
It was dormant. Like, it must have been in there. It must be in all of us on some level. But tell us more about what it's waking up in you, this boldness. What are
Yeah.
you not afraid of going for anymore? Saying, letting go, all the things.
Yeah, all of it. I didn't have a great example from my mom, and my mom had a really difficult childhood in life, and she died a few years ago, and she died really angry and resentful.
Wow.
And she died when she and I were not in a good place, and she was upset with me, and she didn't have the resources to do the work or to get support the way I do. And so I really take it upon myself to be the version of my mom who did have all the resources, who could show up emotionally available for her child, who was able to do the work and dive in and take ownership of her life and not be a victim and make new choices and really live the most expressed version of herself. My mom and I were super alike in a lot of ways. And so I do feel like there's this soul connection bond that I get to be that version of her. And I think that when I look at my daughter, who looks just like my mother, it really is, it opens up this like portal for me to see my mom come through my daughter's eyes. And it ignites this ability for me to just turn on in every way. And I'm like, I have to do this because this is healing me and my daughter and my mom and my grandmother.
Sure.
And it's not just about me. And so I feel like I kind of have nothing to lose at this point, because all I care about is my daughter is well fed, loved, taken care of, and that I'm super present for her.
Mm.
And everything else kind of just falls by the wayside. And so I know that if I get to show up as that version of me for 4 generations of women, I'm doing something right. And everything else, like, you lose friends, you lose followers, whatever it is, like things that we think matter, it doesn't. It's all about this, and all about the generations of women, that the energy you're shifting by showing up differently.
I didn't know we had that in common as well, Kelly. This is so beautiful. My mom died 21 years ago, but she died of what I've learned how to heal. She died of liver cancer, where your anger, unprocessed anger, resides. And near the end of her life, she started to get the hang of it, but it was just too much water under the bridge. And she died at like 61. I don't know how old was your mom?
I think she was 62 or 62.
Holy crap. Okay. Well, hopefully they're having a cup of tea or a shot of tequila right now. Listen of us up in heaven.
Yeah.
But I too understand, like, okay, you're teaching me something by dying so young. And I need to shift the trajectory of our ancestral line as well. Wow. I find when the hormones are the way they are, and the breastfeeding and the chaotic life and the overwhelm, somehow the veil thins a bit, because we're just a little crazy there, hot mamas, but we're crazy. So what do you think your mom, have you ever heard in a dream? Do you hear your mom? Do you hear anything?
It's funny you say that. I have explained it this way. I feel like the veil definitely thinned after I gave birth, and I had a really traumatic birth, and I almost died and had a near-death experience.
Holy, we haven't talked about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so I feel like that opened up a lot for me
Yeah.
in my purpose and how I show up and really choosing to be here. And I feel like the veil is really the thinnest in the middle of the night when I'm up with Ro and I'm rocking her in her room and breastfeeding her. And I will look at her and I swear to God, it's my mom. And I don't think it's like my mom reincarnated or anything like that, but I do feel like my mom energetically shows up for me through Ro's eyes and is present for me and is healing and is holding me while I'm holding my daughter. And there's just, there's like this full circle experience that I have. And I just know that she's here. And I know that my mom, I really feel like my mom didn't want to be alive anymore, which is why she chose cancer. And it was so progressive and all of that. I think it was just too much. But I feel like she's so happy to be with me now. And she's so present. And I remember I had a reading before Ro was born, and it was, the woman didn't know pregnant. And she said, all I see is your mom, and she's holding a little girl. And I didn't know that, she didn't know I was pregnant. And I also didn't know I was having a girl.
Wow.
And that's what the experience feels like. It's like my mom held her and took care of her until we were ready for her to come. And then she handed her over to me. And now she's here energetically and spiritually looking out for me and taking care of me. And it's magical.
Wow. Yeah. It's like you have a healthier relationship now that she's on the other side.
Yeah. And I sometimes I'm nervous to say that out loud because it sounds really aggressive and terrible, but I actually have a way better relationship with my mom now that she's gone. And life was just too hard for her. And she didn't have coping mechanisms other than alcohol and being angry. And so what kind of life does that leave you with, And I don't think that she got the life she wanted. She lived vicariously through me. And when I stopped being a TV host and started a production company and talking about spirituality and being bisexual, I think she was like, okay, and didn't know what to do anymore. And it caused lots of rifts in our family as I started to individuate in my late 20s. And yeah, so it's been a really interesting process, but I think it's been extremely healing for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I just finished a client call before this interview, and there's a process I take people through. It's quite politically incorrect. It's called the theater of redemption. And you basically talk to the shell, the ego of who done you wrong. Yeah, chop them into pieces and how dare you, and you just get it out of your body.
Mhm.
And part of the reason why I developed that process was because I did watch my mom die of liver cancer, and her anger lived in her body, and she chose to let it, you know, be done with her. And so I wanted to give people a healthy outlet to express the unexpressible. And be very clear that it's not their heart, it's not their soul, it's not the whole that, but it's just the part of you that needs to stand up for yourself and say, enough of that, and
Mhm.
off with your nose and scalp them and all the nasty things. And then you sit down in a throne, and then this ball of light comes towards you. And that's the actual soul. That's the actual soul contract. And you get to say thank you as if you created it all yourself. Like you're the director of the life, the producer of the life, the actor, you're everything. So you're not a victim of what they did to you. You actually thank them because you learned so much. You learned so much. So yeah, with your with this main theme of self-love, I can't imagine somebody angry and drunk taught you a lot about that.
No.
And yet, if we could finish the sentence, thank you for what you showed me, because now I've learned, now I've discovered, now I've cultivated, now I teach, now I empower, whatever word you want to use. How would you end that sentence?
Yeah, I think I would definitely start it with, you know, I was given a role model who was extremely angry and extremely, ridiculed and abused.
Mm,
And I learned to treat myself poorly and say bad things about myself and never process anger or acknowledge anger. But I'm so grateful because my mom gave me a life better than she could have ever imagined.
mm,
And my mom provided me resources that she never had and
mm,
made sure that I had a really good life and connections and possibilities that she could never have ever dreamed of, because she, I think, deep down knew that things were fucked up and there had to be a better way and something different. So I'm so grateful for everything that she went through and did for me, even the bad stuff, because it allowed me to go deeper into my work and my processes and really look at my life, and the trauma I experienced, so that I could be the woman and the mom and the wife that I am today. I don't think I would be that person. I know I wouldn't be that person without everything that she endured, um, and had to put up with from a very young age before she had the choice. So,
yeah.
she's such an angel, and I know now and understand now so much that I didn't before. Being a mom, as you know, changes your perspective on your own mother.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, like, full circle to look at now.
Yeah. I remember at my mom's funeral, my sister and I going, everyone saying, "Oh, your mom loved you so much. She loved you so much." And we're like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." But then when each of us had children, we're like, "Oh my God, she loved us this much.
Yeah.
Oh, this is another dimension. This is
Well,
another."
and that's the thing is I don't feel like I'm wounded. I don't feel like I'm coming from a place of being abused or darkness or anger. And I know what that love feels like, and it just feels like expansive and good, and I'm by my best self. I can't imagine what loving someone like that feels like for someone who wasn't loved, who
Mm,
wasn't respected, who wasn't honored, and who had to deal with her, the abuse and the way she was treated. I have to imagine now that that was extremely overwhelming and scary for her because she didn't have good examples. So then how do you show up as a parent when that's the lens through which you see the world and yourself?
yeah,
And I think I understand now why she couldn't be emotionally available for me. How could you? She was just protecting herself and trying to make sure that her kids didn't have her experience.
right. Yeah, she wasn't emotionally available to herself.
Right.
How could she give you what she didn't have
Hmm.
within herself? Yeah. When I think of the times in my life when I've lived with a closed heart and I've been spinning in my mind the source of my worth, the source of my safety, the source of everything is outside in. And I will manipulate anything I need to do, people pleaser, give away my money, my body, try to, whatever I need to get. And then as a parent, I remember very, very clearly, I will process my mother's death so that I will be my best self when you arrive. And what I've learned in the marriage prior to the one I was in at the time, I'm not doing the outside in thing anymore. I'm
Yeah.
cultivating I'm source in as and through me. And that was my commitment. But I do have a reference point that if I didn't, my joy would be my child. Look how good I am because of my child. Look what my child did. Look at me. Like there would be no separation because there would be a funnel, like a cord for it to come in. How have you cut that?
I think I cut it every day.
Wow. Wow.
I've never thought about that. And thank you for even posing that question in the way you did. It's like a really beautiful kind of thing to think through. I think I'll be thinking about that for a while now. But yeah, because I had a mom who lived vicariously through me and projected on me and was a narcissist and very manipulative, and we had a very much like narcissist people pleaser relationship, very codependent. And because I've done so much therapy and somatic therapy and ayahuasca and mushrooms, I've like done a lot of work around this.
Yes,
I knew that being a mother as the child of someone like that, having some of those tendencies myself for sure, I had to every single day make a choice that I am not going to do that to my daughter.
Yep.
And that I'm not going to expect her to be the source of my joy or my identity or my success. She is her own person and she came here for her own reasons. And I'm really grateful she chose me as her mom. And I'm sure we've done this dance quite a few times in a myriad of different ways. I'm really excited I get to be her mom this time around. But she is not the source of anything for me. I feel deep joy and pleasure being her mom. It is the greatest gift of my whole life. But I work really hard to keep my own identity and keep that sovereign energy in my body because I never want her to feel the pressure I felt to be who I need her to be. Yeah. I'm not okay with that. And especially as a girl. And especially as the daughter of a really successful woman, a top athlete. I've been on the covers of magazines. I've had really high profile jobs. I'm very successful in my life. I never want her to be like, well, I'm not as good as my mom, or my mom said I have to do it like this. Right. So I think that I cut that cord in the way I show up every day and just encouraging her to be her own little crazy self. And I think also she's a lot like my husband. Yeah. Even the way she looks and her little like personality, she's really funny. And I think that helps me separate her because I see so much of him in her and I'm like, oh, you're not just like me. You're also like your dad. Yeah. And I see her as her own entity more because of that. Does that make sense?
Totally. No, 100%, 100 million %. Yeah. I think that's why the universe gave me a boy, not a girl, because I just lost my mom and we were different. We were more like really good friends. It was more issues with my dad. So I had lost my quote unquote best friend. Mm-hmm. And had I had a girl, I would have definitely wanted to replace that relationship with her. But it was a boy. And I was like, penis is peeing in my face. What is this? I've never done it. Like, okay. And it helped separate, just like you said, there with this consciousness. This is really important. How, if we go deeper into this idea of cutting the cord every day, to me, I do remember the days, I'll be very honest with you, Kelli, because we got divorced when our son was 1, and then that 12-year custody battle. And so I was being attacked, and my ex had gone behind my back to get my dad and sister on his side. So family was not there. Mom was dead. I wasn't really dating. And so while I knew I have enough non-judgment, like whatever he does is great. Like if you fall down, there's a lesson. If you knock it out of the park, there's a lesson. Like that part, I was good. But I do remember him being the source of a lot of my intimate connections. Mm-hmm. And it was just so yummy. We would just sit under the fort and eat macaroni and cheese with our fingers. I loved it. But in hindsight, I wonder if I put too much pressure on those intimate experiences and adventures, because he was really the light of my life. And when he decided to live with his dad when he was 15, which stopped all of the court battles, and I relinquished physical and legal custody and just I just said, I'll take the high road. I felt that loss of that light, of that connection. And I wonder how many years of therapy and ayahuasca it's going to take for him to heal his mummy cord that
Right.
was there. Yeah, I'm interested when he returns to have that conversation. So because there was an identity of me that believed if I cut that cord, I would die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the cord was cut for me. And I had to find that place within me and be even more the source of my own love and light and joy and everything. What's the identity that's maybe is dying that you cut the cord of every day to be sure that she's a sovereign being and you're a sovereign being? Does that make sense, my question?
Yeah, it does. The thing that comes to mind, and it's not really answering your question, but it kind of is in a roundabout way, is just this idea of we are free.
Yeah.
And I saw this in a somatic experience while I was pregnant. I saw my little girl walk out of my chest, and all I could hear and see is we are free, we are free, we are free, we are free.
Mm.
And to me, I kind of relived that when I was rocking row one night, and all I saw was my grandmother, my mom, me, and my daughter, and it was we are free, we are free, we are free, we are free.
Mm.
That experience for me was that I had freed 4 generations of women.
Yeah.
And I think the identity of being a people pleaser and a helper and a martyr and I am your everything, you are my everything, I am nothing without you, all of those things have to die.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want my daughter to be free, because I'm free.
Yes.
And I don't want her to feel, I'm sure she'll be attached to me. I mean, she's 4 months old. Hi, I have a boob. By the way, I said a boob because she only eats off one boob now.
I remember
where
you
we
telling
are.
me that.
Yeah.
Super boob. Yeah.
Yeah. Not lopsided at all. But yeah, I want her to be free, and I want her to know that I'm here for her and I will protect her and I will take care of her, but I'm not going to save her.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that my mom always tried to save me, and my mom always tried to fix everything. And I even told my husband this morning, because we're going through this kind of thing and debacle. And I'm like, everything was always just fixed for me and saved for me. And I was taught that I have to be like that. So I just want to fix everything and save everything. And you can't. And as much as we want to protect our children and keep them in bubbles, I lived that life. And it was a rude ass awakening when I moved to Compton at 17 years old and was in college and had access to alcohol and boys and all these things.
Right.
I don't want my daughter to live like that. I don't want her to be in a bubble. I want her to know the world, and I want her to be curious, and I want her to be a seeker and have fun. I didn't have fun. I just want her to feel free. And if I can be an example of that and how I show up as her mom, I hope that she understands someday, when she has the ability to, what freedom actually looks like for a woman. So, yeah.
Oh, I love this, honey. You have this way of saying things that are blind spots, and you just pierce them. You did this on the IG Live. You're doing it again. So I just love you. So I owned what I owned a minute ago. And when I haven't spoken to my son in 3 years. And what happened was, it was right during COVID. I was doing a speech in Austin. He's in LA, and I get him facials. And I said, look, the world's kind of shutting down. Call if you can't make your appointment that I'm paying for. Don't just be a no-show. Call if your dad can't drive you, if roads shut down. I don't know what the hell's going on. And he didn't do it. And I said, okay, we all make mistakes. Now we just clean up our mess. So call and say, I'm sorry I didn't call, and make up for the damage done. That was 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But that accountability that I've taught him since he was a child, an infant, we all make mistakes, and we own our mistakes, and we clean up our mistakes, and we make up for the damage done. And that breeds respect and accountability and responsibility. And that's how you're going to thrive as an adult. But that was the moment where the communication ended. Granted, the world was coming to an end. His baseball scholarship probably got canceled. There was probably more than just mom pissing him off. But you're healing me, Kelli, in this moment, because I'm not going to save you. I'm not going to save you. And you will hopefully in time realize that I was mentoring adulting, right? In that moment. And I'm not going to go, okay, and let that behavior slide.
I think we all come here to learn certain lessons. And I think having fights with our parents and certain dynamics and making certain choices, they're all really important parts of our lessons. And yeah, they could be really uncomfortable and make us really sad and cause, times where we don't speak and all of that. But I do believe that everything plays out the
Yeah.
way it's meant to.
Yeah.
And he might be on a path that you don't understand or not fully on board with and upset about something that doesn't make full sense to you. I'm putting words in your mouth and I'm just as an example, and
Yeah.
it's not your life.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of us as parents, I mean, I've been doing this for 4 months, so hi, I'm not an expert, but I think that's where a lot of us as parents and my parents kind of got lost is they think that it's their life too. And
Yeah.
it's not. We can only do so much. Everyone is their own person, no matter what age they are. My daughter is going to be who she is. And I can either try and cage her and make her make decisions the way I want, or I can let her be herself and cultivate that and also love her and support her so that she knows she has a safe fall back on.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Oh God, it's hard. Talk to me in 13 years.
Absolutely. Tell me, well, one thing I want to say that you remind me of, I remember having a therapist at one point that I kept saying, I'm my own person. She's like, no, you're not. You're half your mom and you're half your dad. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like maybe I have some other genes in my body, but I'm my own sovereign being. Thank you very much. That was the last time I spoke to that therapist. So very feisty on that. And I agree. Let's go to the last topic. So self-love and forgiveness, finding your worth. Yeah, finding your worth. I thought my worth was my accomplishments. Right? I didn't even know I had an inside. I didn't even know I had a heart and a soul and a whole like little Allana. I didn't get any of that. I was my accomplishments, my achievements, my body. I was, whether people liked me or not, I was good or bad, worthy or not worthy. And thank God I've rewired myself and uncollapsed. My worth is my worth, never goes anywhere and never will. And my accomplishments will, the size of my ass will, like the size of my bank account, all these things will change. But my worth is my worth. And that's the end of the sentence. It's taken me, I mean, I'm in my 50s. It's taken me a long time to know that, to really know that.
Yeah.
So tell us your journey of your worth.
Yeah, I mean, my worth growing up was in getting straight A's and being a really good volleyball player. I was a top 5 player in the country in my age group and was the co-captain at USC. And then I went on and I was, the TV host. So it was all about how I looked and if I could get people to talk to me and being hot and all these things. And so it was just like, it was always wrapped up in how I performed, how strong my body was, how good I looked. And no one ever asked me about what I really wanted or what I cared about. And that part of me was never cultivated or encouraged. And I don't think my parents did that on purpose. I think they really thought that within volleyball, because I was so good and I was so tall at a young age, it was like, oh my God, push her into this thing. It's so good for her. I got a full ride scholarship.
Nice.
They gave me access to so much. And I'm so grateful for all of that. But when I stopped playing volleyball, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I offered the world. When I stopped being a TV host and I wasn't getting attention every day, I was like, who am I? Why would someone like me? What do I offer the world? And I remember part of why I left television is because I had a co-host and a colleague. He was kind of like an uncle to me. He was the most amazing man. His name's Oral Hershiser, and he's a legendary Dodgers pitcher, like 65 years old. And one day he said to me, why are you wearing that dress? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, why are you wearing that dress? And then it just left at that because I didn't know what to say. And I didn't understand why he was asking me that. And I sat with it for a couple of weeks. And then it kind of hit me. I had that aha moment. I was like, oh, all I do is care about what I wear and how I look and my hair and the thing and playing the game. And I really felt like he was trying to tell me that shit does not matter, Kelli. There's more to you than this. And I chopped off my hair after that. I completely redid my whole wardrobe. And then I left the business less than 2 years later because I was like, I don't feel good about myself. I feel like all I'm here to do is to appease everyone. I don't know my own value and worth. I don't know what I care about. And I feel like I'm just living for everyone else. I'm like this robot Barbie, like doing the thing. and I can't, like, it's not sustainable. And I had had chronic illness for 15 years. And I think large part because of that.
Mm.
And when I left, I took 6 months off before I started my podcast and the company. And I just got clear on, how do I really want to impact the world? Who am I on a deep level without all these accolades and being the best this and the best looking that? Who am I? And I still am on that journey.
Yeah.
But I think getting quiet and getting rid of the toxicity and the noise and the expectations really allowed me to get clear on, but who am I and what do I want and what am I about?
And what were some of the answers you've heard, love?
I think the biggest thing is, like, I just really care about supporting women. I have so deeply struggled in female relationships. And to me, community and connection and sisterhood is of the utmost importance. And so I've spent the last 5 years cultivating that, because I felt so alone and I was suicidal growing up and I didn't have great friendships. And I never want anyone to feel alone. And I have a really big heart. And so I'm constantly on a mission to support women so they don't feel alone. And they know they're loved, and then they know they're enough. And I think for me, I show up so full and so true, and I'm just so honest and so about integrity. And I think I always go back to, my heart is just so big and I love so deeply, and everything is sort of falls after that. It's a domino effect. So yeah.
I love that, sweetheart. I love it. I so acknowledge when you look and you don't know who you are. That's a very scary moment. When you don't feel valuable and you really own that, that's a very scary moment, because it's very easy to shut it off. It's very easy to judge. It's very easy just to fill the void. What would you say is one of the most profound moments or supportive tools for you to find, oh my God, I love to love my sisters? Like, what would you say to someone who's like, okay, I get it. I'm the same. I've been doing everything for everybody else. That could be a mom. That could be a business owner. I had the next level awakening just a few weeks ago, where I'm like, I'm one side of a butterfly. Everything I do, even another course I take or another certification or a meditation I listen to or a podcast I listen to, is so I'm a better coach for everybody else. What am I doing for me? And I've sort of been in a holding pattern waiting to talk to my son. So I put everything on a holding pattern: love, parenting, my next house, where I'm going. And I just sort of live in the middle of nowhere. And my whole life is about contribution. But then that's actually not true. It was all about service, because service is one directional. I serve you. Contribution is the figure 8. So I can have the other side of the butterfly. So I'm like, how can I shift my life so I contribute, but I also contribute to me as well? And so this is a tool that I looked at of all my actions and the motivation behind them. And none of them were just for fun, for joy, for the shit of it, just for the fucking hell of it. Like, it had to have an outcome. It was still driven over here. So that's been my practice right now. What is a great practice that we can share with people about truly finding your honest to God worth?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is a practice, but this is a long way of answering your question. For me, the moment when everything shifted for me with women was, I realized I'm bisexual. And it was one of my first one-on-one sexual experiences with a woman. And I swear to God, I saw myself for the first time.
Wow.
Because I realized that we are all connected.
Yeah.
It's like you said, the work I do on myself is not just about me. I'm not freeing myself just for me. I'm freeing myself for you and for my daughter and my mother and the women in my community and my listeners and the woman down the street.
Yep.
We are catalysts for each other.
Yeah.
And it's been so important for me to remember that I get to show up for other women. And I never fully saw myself. I never saw myself without judgment and with such deep love and compassion until that moment. I'm naked, face to face with a woman, kissing her, touching her. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was like I was seeing myself, and this deep appreciation for the feminine and our bodies and what we're capable of and our essence and the love we have and how our souls are so deeply intertwined and did. And from that moment on, I realized women are not separate from one another. It's not you or me. It's not you're better than me because you accomplished this or you have this bag or this perfect relationship and I'm not enough and there's not enough room. The separation ended there. And I thought, we are one. And as I rise, you rise. And as I grow, you grow. And the more free I am, the more free you get to be. And that changed my whole world.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This experience of I am you, you are me, and we are one, I've had the blessing of feeling a few times in my life. The first was a direct experience in what's called an illumination intensive, where you go for 5 days and you sit in front of another and you only get to say, tell me who you are. And then you receive there and you say, thank you. And you go back and forth. There's no chit chat in between. There's no chit chat at dinner. All it is silence or tell me who you are. And I remember this one woman who I had judged. She was quite overweight, obese. And I remember not judging, ooh, she's fat. I remember feeling arrogant, pity. How could she let herself get like that? Like I just couldn't get it. And I had this direct experience where I saw her, I think it was on like day 4 of 5. And she was out by the garden. And I swear I got hit with this energy like and I looked at her, she was a bodhisattva. She was the most exquisite statue of the feminine, the glory of the feminine that I've ever seen. And I looked at her and she knew it. She had known that I had judged her before and she forgave me. And then she let me see her beauty that she'd never seen. And she got it. It was just this moment I will never forget in my whole life of this I am you, you are me. So how could we give listeners, sisters and brothers, an assignment around self-love, around seeing people as a part of us? Do you literally look at the whole world like this now? Is it a pair of glasses you have on?
Can I pause you and grab my daughter?
Yes, you can.
She just wants to hang out with you.
That's great. I'm so grateful she wants to hang out.
Right here. This is right here. I want to be on the podcast. Yeah. Yes, you do.
Well, we'll wrap it up, but I'm really glad we can end with her.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's really good. I just want to be honoring of your world.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello.
You said a practice for people.
Yeah.
I think it's just the more compassion that we have for ourselves, the more we show up for ourselves without judgment, the more we can view the world that way. I think we think that we're the only one and we're doing it wrong and there's something wrong with us. And I think the thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, every year I feel like I'm more aware of this, is that everyone is struggling with something. Like you might see my life online and I have really good videos and curated pictures and my daughter is as cute as could be. And also like my husband and I have been going at it for the last 24 hours and I'm restructuring my company and I'm scared as hell. Like, what is this going to look like? And, there's always something else happening. Yes. And no one is perfect and no one has it all together. And I think the more we can love ourselves and show grace for ourselves, the more we can do that for other people and like let each other off the hook, and that really, I think, creates way more self-love. Yes, I know. I feel the same way.
So this is a great, thank you for that practice. This is a great way to complete this conversation because this is real. This is real life. Like, how can we have compassion for real? Hi, there you are.
I know, say hi.
Yes. And compassion for you. I just want to surround you in so much love, so much grace that you're doing the real thing with your husband, with your business, with us, with your mamahood. And I want all of you viewers to take this moment of being real and give yourself a break and surround yourself in compassion as we, lean into one another and have each other's back.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I love talking to you. I could do this with you every day. You're the best.
Oh, I adore you too. Be sure to go to Naked Mama or Okay Babe or her site, Kelli Moore, and you go have a great day. I just want to give you a Zerber on your belly right now. Oh, so delicious. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything you need, Kelli, I'm here. I'm so glad
thank you. You too. I appreciate you so much.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
These are my favorite times. I joke with my staff. Some girls like Porsches. I like porches. And I love the sun on my face. I love it opening my heart. I don't like the traffic. Sorry for the noise as it comes by. I love my magic mind. It's like my body aches for its flavor, its energy, its flow. It like helps me. It helps me check in and meditate in the morning and feel and hear what's really important. And as I think about the interview with Kelli and her bravery around motherhood, her bravery around her bisexuality, she really inspires me to be me. Be bold, be unapologetic, be authentic. And as I'm at the recording of this video, dating online for the first time in like 15 years. Normally I just like meet somebody and then I date them. But this time I'm like doing it differently. And I'm being honest, and I'm taking it slow, and I'm meeting lots of people, and I'm doing all the compatibility, and I'm meeting so many wonderful men. It's not that there's a lack of great men out there. It's just who's aligned with me, my heart, my soul, my spirit, my vision now. And to let myself, be broken up with, or be told thank you but no thank you. And likewise, tell others thank you so much, thank you, but no thank you. It's intense. And I'm not settling. At 53, no. I'm super happy on my own. And yet I can feel the ceiling of what's possible in my own evolution. Alone, partnership is where it's at next. And so I really respect Kelli and the partnership she has with herself, with her husband, with her body, with her sexuality, with her baby, with her business, with the impact she's here to make. She's just like all in. She's all in. So definitely follow her podcast. Get to know her more. She's a mover and a shaker. She's impacting this world. What a blessing we have to know her and love her. And I invite you to check in now with where can you be that next level of authenticity? Where can you be that next level of showing up, being real, being bold, letting go of the outcome, and shining your glorious light? I love you so much.